So what did you make?
We made 20,000. We split it 50-50.
Amazing.
Yes.
So in a grand total, you've made
nine and two in Boise, and then this one 10,000.
Gotcha. So where do you think you're going to go from here?
My goal is to keep driving, keep marketing to that list, and getting constant deals here in San Diego from driving for dollars.
10 to 15,000.
$500,000 in assignments.
$150,000.
Chris, thank you so much for joining this call to tell me about your success getting into real estate investing. Why don't you give me like 60 seconds? Tell me about who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, well, first of all, David, it's definitely a pleasure meeting you, talking to you, and for you to take the time to interview me. So yeah,
Of course, man.
I guess I went through the normal route, the school. So I didn't know any other way. So I was always looking for something different. So I went to college, didn't work out. My dream was always to join the Navy. So since I got kicked out of college, I just joined. I didn't want to go back home. So always saw it as an opportunity. I was looking for travel, something different, because I know most of my friends were going to college. So it just didn't seem right at the time. So I went to college, dropped out or got kicked out and joined the Navy. Left, and I learned a whole lot in the Navy. Discipline was the biggest thing. I did one deployment, and in that one deployment, I felt like I accomplished a whole lot more than I had accomplished in my life because I had nowhere else to go. So I was in a ship, I was in deployment. I did everything after work, so I was working between like 12 hours a day to like 24 hours a day. So I was taking 1 hour off just to focus on stuff that I was doing, and it seemed to it took a while to get what I wanted, but it seemed that it worked out. So eventually I got out. I went back to college. I finished. I did civil engineering. It was tough. It took a long time, and it just didn't click. I just didn't see myself doing the same thing over and over. I was working in construction, so I was traveling. I was stuck in traffic, and I was just hoping for something. And eventually, we bought a house, my wife and I, and the book Rich Dad Poor Dad kept coming up. And at the time, I was done with reading, I was done with schooling, I was done with buying books. So I actually reserved the book in the library. It took me about 6 months to get the book, and once I got the book, I was like, man, this is what I wanted. This is what I needed. And after that, it was just it was another journey. But yeah, that's basically me.
Dang. Okay. So it took you. Why did it take 6 months to get the book in the library? Was it checked out?
Yeah, it was a long list of people waiting to get the book.
Gotcha. And so you knew deep down that college and the traditional route just like wasn't for you. So this was a breath of fresh air reading this book.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I just didn't want to go to school. I struggled during school. I guess I did okay over time.
Yeah.
But I just wanted something different. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what did you do since you read that book?
Well, the thing about the book is it doesn't give you do this step 1, 2, and 3. It kind of opens up your mind to start thinking about different things and see how the people live, especially the rich. So my main focus was going to be rentals. So that's my end goal: rentals, owning rentals, and passive income. I know a lot of people say it's not passive, but it's definitely a lot better than showing up to work every morning and instead of collecting a few bucks for not doing a whole lot.
Right.
So that's definitely the end goal. And I just wasn't getting anywhere with rentals because, I mean, it's like anything, it takes a lot. So one day I said, God gave me a sign, and I went to a meetup, and this guy sat right next to me, and we started talking. He was in construction. He started from being in the trades. I think he was a carpenter, and eventually he moved up all the way to managing big high rises. So
wow.
I clicked with them because I admired those people, because going from the field, moving up to the office, it's a big jump. So I asked him, so what are you doing in real estate? And he said, I'm wholesaling. And that's how I got into wholesaling.
Okay. Did he take you step by step, or did you actually have to find out yourself how to do your first wholesale deal?
So he told me about a coaching program. Back then it was Wholesaling Inc.
Okay.
It was directed to postcards.
Yeah.
And I ended up buying that course. Inside that course, one time, one of the coaches mentioned, because there was a guy wholesaling in Denver, I think it was. And
Yeah.
he said, it takes a whole lot of postcards to get a deal in one of these markets, especially like mine, San Diego. And for him, it was Denver. So I got discouraged. But eventually,
Yeah.
I learned about cold calling, and I decided to do cold calling. But it's been a journey. It's been a journey for sure, because I tried San Diego, didn't work out. Tried Boise, Idaho virtually. I did a couple deals. I had 3 contracts and closed on 2. And so I got a taste, and then eventually I joined DFD Mastery with Zach Booth,
Right.
and he told me to,
Driving for dollars mastery, right?
yeah,
So what it stands for.
yes, because when I was in San Diego the first time, I was buying lists. So I mean, you get the same answers. You're not the first person to call me today. You're like the 10th to call me today. I just remodeled my home, so when I come and see it, it's very nice. So people were making fun of me. So I was driving little by little when you started your company, DealMachine, because a couple of years ago, that's where everybody started talking about driving for dollars. And I was getting a few addresses, a couple hundred a month, and I was getting more traction from that. I was getting more appointments. Almost every 5 weeks, I was going on appointments from just cold calling that list instead of the other ones that I was buying.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So it just made
So
sense.
you felt discouraged because in Denver and in San Diego, you had heard that it's going to take a lot of postcards to get a deal.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that was obviously going to cost money.
Yes. Yeah.
What type of list were you sending to, did you send any postcards in San Diego?
I did one. I think it might have been, I know back then they had the Tom Crow list. So
Okay.
my car broke down and I had to buy a new one. So I ended up spending the money I had for marketing in that car. So I sent a couple $100 and worth of list. I was like, man, I'm just gonna give it a try and see how it is. So I did send like a couple hundred, maybe like 300 postcards. I got like 3 calls back, and I just got a taste of what it was to get people to call you back.
Gotcha. So after feeling discouraged, what attracted you to D for D Mastery, which was another coaching program?
It was just the experience of when I first tried wholesaling in San Diego, that I was doing it. I was doing it like after cold calling and doing everything that I was doing, and a lot of coaches started talking about driving for dollars. So I was like, man, why not try it? So I started doing it just a little bit that I was doing it. I was getting most of my appointments from there, because I was getting people with actual problems. So I knew the house was bad, and I was getting people with problems and actually to call me back and ask me to help them, basically.
Right. So the driving for dollars list is rundown houses. So you're actually driving around looking for rundown houses and writing them down. So then if they call you back, they've got a problem. Their house cannot be sold, right? They can't sell it in its current condition because people couldn't lend on it. People couldn't borrow money to buy that property.
Yeah.
So that's why they were coming to you. Gotcha. So that was a better list for you.
Yes.
Were those 2 in Boise, Idaho? Were those from driving for dollars, or was that prior to driving for dollars? You got those first couple deals.
That was prior to.
Okay.
I was actually.
So tell me about those. Like, what was the list? How many postcards you send there? How'd you do the deal?
Yeah. So during that time, I was desperate. So I wanted something, and one of the coaches told me, why not spend 30 days just going all out, just coming home, eating, and then going to work. So I was cold calling probably like 34 hours a day, and then on my days off, I was cold calling 8 hours. And the crazy thing is, I didn't get the deal with cold calling. So during that time, I pulled the list from the county, the code violation list, and during that time, I was handwriting letters. So I sent about 1,000 letters, and that's where I got the 2 contracts from.
Gotcha. So you sent 1,000 letters. You got 2 contracts.
Yeah.
What was the problem that these homeowners were experiencing?
The first deal, it was a manufactured home, and the owner basically had his renter try to fix the property, and after seeing the pictures, man, this guy he tore up the property. The cabinets
So the renter tore it up. So he was like what you would call like a tired landlord.
Yeah.
He was fed up.
So he called me one of my letters, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about selling." He kind of dragged it on for like 30 days, and then one day I called him and he said, "Yeah, I'm taking offers. I'm going to sell it now." So I had somebody, I JV on this one, so somebody locally.
So you didn't know who was going to buy it. So you found another wholesaler to go and actually help sell the property? Or did you JV it so that the local wholesaler could be the person on the ground that met with the seller and got actual pictures of the house?
Yeah, so they actually sent their acquisition manager to the appointment. They got the contract, and they actually sold the property, and they gave me half as a JV
because you got the call yourself, and then you found a local person to go run the appointment.
Yes,
Nice.
That's great. It was a company there.
That's great.
Yeah.
How'd you find them? Just online?
On Facebook. Yeah, he was actually he used to live here in San Diego, and he had a company in Boise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you pick Boise anyway, by the way, instead of doing it in San Diego?
So I was part of TTP with Brand Daniels, and I went to see him.
Talk to people.
Yeah, talk to people. And I went to go see him, and he said, you can wait in San Diego and try to get a deal. Because at that time, before I went to go see him, I had a contract in San Diego, but the seller backed out the day before. So we were going to close on Thursday or on Friday. And on Thursday, the guy ghosted us. And eventually he picked up and he said, yeah, I'm not going to sell. So we were going to make $8,000, and the other investor was going to make. We were going to split the contract $8,000. So it's going to be 4 and 4. So he said, the other investor said, it's not worth it. The hassle to go after him. It's not a whole lot of money. So we just let him go. So I went to go see Brent Daniels, and he said, you can wait in San Diego and try to get a deal, or you can go somewhere else virtually and get a deal sooner. So I chose to go virtually.
Gotcha. And tell me about that second deal in Boise. The
second deal, this one, it was a, I don't know how you say it. It's they made payments to the owner over time, because he owned an old trailer, and the piece of land was worth a lot of money because there was a lot coming to this area.
So the trailer was renting from the landowner.
No, the guy owned the seller owned everything.
Okay, seller owned everything.
Yeah.
He got a postcard from you, and he called you, and then what'd he say?
He just said it was because his girlfriend or him, one of them, he got COVID. I think he got COVID, and his girlfriend was living somewhere else. So whenever he got COVID, he was very sick. So he didn't want to be away from his girlfriend anymore since he was older. So he just wanted to sell and meet up with his girlfriend.
Okay. So what did you do next?
I called a semi-investor, and he ended up locking up the contract as I think it's a seller finance where they make payments to the seller over time.
Okay.
And I got $2,000 for basically bringing the lead.
Got it. So you went virtual because you didn't want to wait around in San Diego. Those higher price markets take a longer time to find a deal. You make more profits there, but you can get a deal faster in a lower price market. So you went virtual so you could get these deals faster. You made $2,000 on this second one in particular.
Yeah.
And then what did you decide to change again? You decided to change markets?
So what was going on in Boise, and I didn't know it. So when I started wholesaling, it was around, I can't remember the year, but I started in December of a year prior, and the median home price was around $320. And during the year that I was there, at the end of the next year, the median home price, it almost doubled to, I think it was $560.
Okay.
So that's when Boise just exploded.
That exploded, right? Yeah. So what did that do for you?
So since I was wholesaling from California, and a lot of Californians are moving to Boise and increasing the prices, I was just losing a lot of deals. I was getting a lot of people to ghost me, to not answer my phone calls. So I was losing deals, and that's when I joined the DFD Mastery with Zach Booth. And he went through my numbers, my KPIs, and he noticed that my postcards were on point. My cold calling was on point. I was just not going on enough appointments. And
gotcha.
He just told me, why not just do it in San Diego? And that was the green light that I was looking for, because my dream was always to wholesale in San Diego.
Gotcha. So how many properties did you have to find in San Diego that were run down before you got your first deal there?
It was a whole lot. It was
how many?
It was about another year. It was about another year and 2 months before I got a property. So every month I was pinning 2,000 pins. So 2,000 ugly houses from with the instruction of Zach Booth. So a lot of these houses are not like the ugly house that you're looking for. These are just with one or two signs of deferred maintenance. So
Like, what would some examples of those signs be?
sometimes if they just look old, because I've seen a lot of wholesalers posting properties that are just dated. So I even add those. I look for like broken windows, just anything that tells you that the owner is not taking care of the property. Just something that looks odd, not a clean house.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you pinned 2,000 per month for a year and a half.
a year and three
Were you
months.
sending postcards or were you calling them?
At the beginning of the year, I was sending postcards, but it just got too expensive. I did get
Okay.
some good leads, and I got outbid from other investors.
Gotcha. How much did you make on this deal in San Diego?
So this deal, I ended up what I did. I was desperate because it was February, and it had been a year since I couldn't close a deal, and I was going through all my leads, and a lot of people were selling to somebody else, or they were selling on the MLS. So I was discouraged. I was desperate, and David Franson, he joined CTP around that time, and I reached out to him, and he said, "Are you willing to share your list?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know." But since I was discouraged, I was like, man, screw it. I don't have nothing to lose. I couldn't get any deals. I cold called the list 3 times. I couldn't find anything. So I said, yeah, here you go. So he had a virtual assistant texting the list, and he ended up getting the contract.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So he got the contract, and I found the buyer.
So what did you make?
We made 20,000. So we split it 50-50. He was very he wanted to share half since day one. I didn't feel like I did anything because it was his contract. So he said, no, you brought the list and we got the deal from this, and I'll give you 50-50 before I found the buyer.
Amazing.
Yes.
So in a grand total, you've made 10,000,
10,000.
2,000, and was it 4,000 on the first one?
The first one was 18,000 divided by 2. It was another
Oh, okay.
JV.
So 9,000.
Nine and 2 in Boise, and then this one 10,000.
Gotcha. So where do you think you're going to go from here?
My goal is to keep driving, keep marketing to that list, and getting constant deals here in San Diego from Driving for Dollars.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know San Diego is a market where you can wholesale. I mean, you can wholesale pretty much everywhere. Do you know Phil Green by chance in San Diego? I know he does a lot of deals, over 100 deals per year.
Yeah, so I met 2 of his whole acquisition managers one time at one of the appointments. So I ended up talking to one of them, and yeah, he said these guys are running on appointments on a daily
Oh, gotcha.
basis. They go on 5 appointments a day. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think he's one of the biggest wholesalers here in San Diego.
I think so too. So are you actually working a full-time job now in the meantime while you're doing wholesaling?
Yes, yeah, I am. Yeah.
Gotcha. And what do you do full-time now?
So I left my construction job. I did enjoy construction. I was a construction manager. I did enjoy that process of going from dirt to a brand new thing, but it takes a whole lot of effort from you. So I took another job, which is kind of similar to what I want. So this one is basically overlooking a property manager. So the Navy owns a lot of properties here in San Diego, and they rent out those properties to service vendors, and they have a company running the day-to-day property management stuff. And my role is to kind of go into the data and look for issues. So it's kind of related to what I want to do in the future. And my friend,
Like if somebody hasn't paid or if somebody's requesting too many maintenance items to be fixed or what?
somewhat. So let's say we're seeing a lot of work orders for like a broken uh, anything. So for like a broken water heater, they'd say
Gotcha.
a lot of water heaters are being broken, and we start looking into the issue as of why.
Why would they break the water heater?
No, not the tenant. So we're just looking for issues of
Gotcha.
to see if the
So-
property manager is taking care of the property.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
To make sure that the property manager is responding on time to
Yeah.
fix those types of issues.
Yeah.
Because they say that's the number one way to increase the value of your portfolio is to minimize vacancies, minimize people who switch out. And if they don't respond quickly enough, people want to move, right? People don't like living in a place where they don't get responded to quickly.
Yes. Yeah. And then here it's a different agreement because the Navy still owns the land. and they just want to make sure that their tenants, their sailors, are being taken care of.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Well, Chris, you're on a roll now with your third deal. I am excited to hear you get that fourth and fifth deal before we close out 2023.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. I have a goal, and I'm going after it. I have half of a year, so I gotta start getting more volume. That's the goal for this year, or for the rest of the year.
I love it, man. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story, and I look forward to continuing to work with you through the rest of the year.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
Of course, man.